Noah, thanks for joining us back for another episode of Nutrition Plus 101. And today we're
Yes,
going to
ma'am.
talk about the range program. So, just to get us started, what is the range program?
So the range program is a program that we designed, myself, Dee, and Steve, to help our sales reps get new business and retain old customers. And so it's all started around a herd specific mineral program. We have a ton of SKUs, generic minerals that work really well. Some producers want a mineral program that is designed to fit their specific criteria, their cattle, their operation. And so that's where we started. And it all hinges on taking forage samples. And so the forage samples will tell us the deficits, and then we can build a mineral program specifically for that customer. The way it works with new customers is we will pay for the cost of the samples. I'll go out there, I'll take samples, and then we'll pay for them. But it is designed for herd-specific mineral programs, and it's designed to optimize what we give the cow on a day-to-day basis.
That's awesome. So, it's like the next level of customer service, essentially. It's
Yes,
going
ma'am.
that much deeper.
Yes, ma'am. And the the way it works on the grass sampling and analysis, I'll set it up with the sales rep, or the sales rep can call me and ask me to handle it, and he can send me the customer information, and I'll go out, uh, meet with the customer, ask them what their end goals are, where they might be lacking something specific, if they think they have any problems, and if they don't, then I'll see if I can find anything. And I'll go and I'll take grass samples, and I like to get grass samples from different places on their operation. So if they have a bunch of rolling hills and they have creeks running through, we want to get a grass sample that is along the creek bed, and then we want to get a grass sample that is as the elevation increases, and then we want to get some more up on the top. Uh, those grasses will change as the topography changes. And then if they have, even if it's extremely flat and they don't really have any changes in elevation or anything like that, if they have certain pastures that might have different types of grasses, if they have a pasture that is primarily Bermuda, and then down the road they have a pasture that is tall grass prairie. Like, we want to make sure, even though the land might not change that much, that we get the different types of grasses so that we can build all of that in. Um, we also like to take water samples. So we'll take water samples, we'll take the grass samples. In some scenarios, if a customer wants us to test his wheat, for instance, I can we can go out, test the wheat, and we can also weigh it, measure it, and we can let that producer know, hey, this is how many pounds of forage you have. This is how many 5 weight stalkers you could have for X amount of time. And so we can do that as well. And we can do that in some of our range settings as well. It's a little bit more difficult, depending on where you are, but that's an option as well. And we use the results to adjust the mineral that they're feeding. We want to make sure that what they're getting in front of them is exactly what they need. So part of the program is that, as I said earlier, we'll take the first samples and we'll pay for those. After that, if the customer wants us to take annual uh, forage samples, or every other year, however they kind of want it done, we ask that they pay for the cost of the sample. They don't have to pay for me to go, anything like that. And that's $45 per sample. And we'll send that back to the customer, but we will keep that in our database. And whenever we do that, if we go out year after year, it allows us to adjust the different minerals. And if we have one mineral might fit in the summer a little bit better or a little bit worse than in the winter, and so we can adjust that. And we can also change the mineral status based on if it's a really, really wet year or if it's a really, really dry year. And so going out there and following up with the producer makes sure that, we don't want to just be a, hey, we took these samples and you're a customer now, and this is the mineral that we made for you. We want to make sure that they understand that we will continue to adjust that mineral to fit their specific ranch as often as is needed so that they are capitalizing on that mineral program.
Sure, that
So
makes so much sense. And with something you said at the beginning that I think is really valuable is visiting with the producer to find out what their goals are. And so it's that next level customer service is what I hear you saying, that it's not just based on the facts. I mean, those are incorporated in, but what are the goals? And then being flexible, that y'all aren't just handing them the answer, what's supposed to be the answer, because things change and cattle change, and even their business structure may change, and that those all make a difference. And so this is kind of a baseline, and then those annual follow-up visits, depending on how detailed they want to get, y'all can go in and do that. So that is excellent.
yes, ma'am. And we want our sales reps to understand that this is a tool designed to help them keep and gain new customers. But we also want them to understand that once we get these customers, that they're just not customers. Hey, customer X is buying this mineral that has their label. This is a way for us to make sure that our customers understand that we care about them more as producers than just as somebody who's buying mineral. And this is a way that we can get in front of them, we can see them, we can help them optimize whatever they want to achieve on their ranch.
Sure, that makes sense. So talk about how this information impacts long-term decisions.
So if we go out and we're having a really, really wet summer, there's going to be a lot of fly pressure. Uh, the minerals are going to have a content that is X, Y, and Z. And then, 2 years later, we start and it gets really, really dry. Well, there you're not going to have as much fly pressure. So in that wet year, we might want to tell the producer, hey, let's feed an IGR. And then in that dry year, we might save them some money. They don't have as many flies. Let's pull that IGR out of the mineral so that they can optimize their cash flow. And then also in those differences in years, like in a really wet year, the mineral content is going to change compared to a dry year because as your forage mass increases, the mineral concentration will actually go down. And then in a dry year, it's the exact opposite. Like the amount of forage is going to decrease, but the amount of mineral concentration in those grasses is going to increase. And so just making sure that we're hitting the different levels, if the mineral is changing and we need to add more magnesium or we need to add more phos, that we can help them adjust that. Uh, and I keep all of the results, and we have a folder for every customer that we've done. And as we go, as I take another sample, we readjust every time. And if we see something that needs to be changed, then we'll ask them like, hey, this is what we think, this is our recommendation. And if they want to follow that, then we go ahead and do that. So, and then on top of that, seeing the mineral is important, but also seeing if they're going to have any antagonistic effects that might come in. Specifically in drought years, you're going to get more of an effect from your antagonists. And if we can identify that and make sure that, your high iron and your sulfur, they're not going to interact in a negative way with some of our other minerals that we're feeding, it just helps those producers stay on top of it.
Sure, that makes total sense. So talk about the benefits of producers doing this.
So everything starts with your mineral program. Most guys think about protein and energy, and obviously those are really important. That's why everybody thinks about those right off the bat. But big picture, Cows get sent off of a place typically whenever they don't get bred. And the first thing that's going to fall apart at any guy's place is reproduction, because a cow is always going to prioritize survival over cycling. And so if you don't have the mineral program in place and you're feeding her all the protein and energy, but your minerals are at deficits where her body is not cycling, well, she might look great and she might be a great cow, but if she's not going to get bred, then she doesn't really have any value to you other than as a coal cow. And that's number one. And some of those things that we want to think about are copper and zinc and selenium, those that you might not think about all the time, like your phosphorus and your magnesium, making sure that we don't have deficits there that are going to impact reproduction. That's something that producers need to think about. Second, we can reduce sickness in our herd, increase our immunity by feeding zinc and copper as well. That both of them play a huge role in immune function. And so if we can keep our cows cycling, and then we can also keep our cows in a healthier status, that's just a bonus for everybody. We also have some products that we'll talk to these sales reps in one of our later episodes. We have some products that can actually help you increase the utilization of forages. So that is something to think about, especially in a dry year. Whenever you have a bunch of dry forage, we can put some products in our mineral that can help those cows. I don't want to get too far into that because we're going to have an episode on it. And then finally, the calf health is determined by the mineral status of the cow. It starts as soon as she gets bred. You have to have a good mineral program to make sure that she cycles. And then that mineral program needs to stay good to make sure that calf hits the ground and is healthy and has the ability to fight any diseases that it might come in contact with. And that we can do that because some minerals are going to cross the placenta. But then one of the main ways is having a good mineral program to increase the ability of that colostrum to get those antibodies to those calves. And so whenever you think about it, it's usually the first thing that these producers are going to want to pull. If money gets tight, they're going to say, well, that 1 ton of mineral is just too expensive. But what they don't realize is that they're pulling the building block for everything, for their health, their calf health, their reproductive status. And that's what I would like our sales reps to understand, is that if somebody tells you that, you need to line out some of what we've talked about today, or just, hey, give me a call, or tell them to call me and say, hey, like, we got a guy that is going to help show you why that's not a good idea. Like, we're not trying to, make sure and hustle. Like, no, you can't, you can't. The guys are going to do what they want to do, but they need to understand that pulling mineral can have a huge negative impact on every operation.
Sure, that's great information. So you mentioned this a little bit before, but tell us again, if some of the reps have customers or potential customers who want to utilize this opportunity, how do they get started?
So just shoot me a text, and they should all have my number. Shoot me a text, give me a call, or just tell the producer to call me. And they can just let me know, hey, Noah, this is so-and-so. He's down in Clarendon. He would like some grass samples. And he's a potential new customer. Or he's a longtime customer and he just wants to make sure that what he's doing is right. So, and then I'll coordinate all of it. And if the sales rep wants to be there, I'll make sure that they're involved. And if the sales rep, most of our sales reps, they're busy. They're working jobs and they're hustling, and then they're selling for us as well. So if they can't make it, then I'll handle it. And if it's a new customer, and they want a custom, I'll take the samples, we'll make them a custom, we'll close the sale, and then it's up to our sales reps to continue to handle that customer and to service that customer. So call me, shoot me an email, call the office, ask me to got any way, it'll get back to me, and I'll get it taken care of.
Well, that's perfect. Well, Noah, thanks for sharing all this with everybody today. Do you have any closing thoughts for us?
I think I touched on most of it, but just closing thoughts. This mineral program is designed to help y'all, our sales reps, to use it, to get new customers. And I just want y'all to know, like, I am here to do whatever I need to do to help y'all be successful selling Nutrition Plus.
Excellent. Very, very good.